Well, yes, indeed, Thabo. So from what came out of the panel discussions that we had before the break, we heard from, the IDCC, where they essentially talked about policies that are constantly, put in place every time there are gatherings of this kind. But now the question is that, are they tangible and are they also implemented on the ground? Because when you get to speak to owners of SMEs, young people, women, they tell a different story in terms of accessibility. When it comes to trade, of course, there's a lot of challenges that they come across. One of those challenges is, finance. When they approach banks, some of them, are not, given finance, meaning that that prohibits them from being part of the, trade value chain globally. But let's actually speak to Busi Mabuza, who is chairing the B20 currently. Mama, thank you very much for your time. We are hearing these policies and, of course, recommendations, but are they reflecting what we are seeing on the ground as far as challenges that are currently faced by SMEs, young, women and young persons that have interest in trade?
Zola, thank you so much. Well, first of all, the B20 Trade and Investment Task Force has made 3 critical policy recommendations where we are talking to the G20 government leadership, and we're saying you need a tariff environment that is conducive for multilateral trading that is working, where disputes can be resolved. We've said we need a new trade and investment deal for the African continent, the next bastion for global growth. And we've said we need climate responsive trade. These are policy recommendations. Our task force members were, however, not satisfied that we're just making policy recommendations that governments may say, yes, no, we don't think they are relevant. And they have said to us, we've spent 9 months engaging as African continent and the G20 countries, business side, of course. We need to ensure that our work leaves a practical legacy on the ground in the African continent. And this is what this afternoon is about. We have institutions that have committed to implementing or enabling implementation of some of the recommendations that this time around specifically focus on micro, small, and medium enterprises. Recommendations that span from, if I may just quote a couple, the enablement of innovative finance tools. We are calling for financing institutions, which is why we're happy that we have a Pan-African bank in the room. We have an industrial development financier in the room. We're calling on financing institutions to collaborate and share risk in a manner that talks directly to small and medium enterprises who struggle with issues such as working capital. No small business can afford to wait for 90 days or 120 days to be paid for a product that they've already delivered. There are companies that actually need, once they've invoiced and the invoice has been signed off by the other company that's buying for them, they need somebody to factor that and give them the cash up front so that they can continue producing for growth and for sustaining the jobs that they are creating. We see that incubators all around us, which are fantastic, but we now need to integrate them regionally and form them as centers of excellence. Trade promotion agencies that most countries have should now bring practical tools that will help micro, small, and medium enterprises get export ready by providing them with access to finance, access to information, and access to markets.
We heard from one of the ABSA executives when he spoke about some of the issues that prohibit, some SMEs from being funded by banks like ABSA, of course. It's the fact that they don't, they're unable to, respond to the simplest questions that they'd be asked as ABSA, by ABSA as a financier. what do you think can be done, to get these small businesses ready for those kind of conversations so that before a person approaches a bank like ABSA, they are at least ready to be able to answer those kind of questions?
So readily accessible, readily available incubation centers that broadcasts that we talk about on platforms such as this one are absolutely critical, because those incubation centers should then have a list of information requirements that a business and young entrepreneur, or even a female entrepreneur, can walk into the incubation center and be informed that you, in order to be able to now move to the next stage of getting finance independently, you will need a tax clearance certificate. You will need to have financial statements. Here's how you can get access to support services that can help you prepare those financial statements. You need a business plan that will not only talk to how you source your raw materials and your production mechanisms, but will also talk to where your markets are going to be. And these incubators, because exporting as a small business can be hugely prohibitive. No small business can pay for a container to ship goods to Europe, for example. So to have these incubators and the export centers aggregating the products for small and medium enterprises will actually unlock the opportunities for those businesses. And it's not something that's not done. We see it done in this country, in industries such as agribusinesses, where people are exporting their products and they have centers where they can bring their product and therefore export together.
Thank you very much, Busi, there for your time. She is currently chairing the B20 in South Africa, and of course, she is highlighting the real challenges that are experienced by women, young people, SMEs, and of course, we have some of those representatives inside, the event to get to hear these recommendations that need to be implemented, and many of them are hoping that these recommendations and policies that will be discussed here are at least tangible, so that when we reflect perhaps next year, we're able to say that we have moved from this point to this particular point, and at least there is progress. Back to you in studio.
Zola, Sholwana, appreciate your intervention there this afternoon. Zola remaining there in Sandton.